There is something deeply satisfying about standing somewhere extraordinary and realizing that almost no one else knows about it. While the crowds pile into Paris, Rome, and Bali, there exists an entire world of destinations so breathtaking, so culturally rich, and so genuinely transformative that skipping them feels like a quiet tragedy. These are the places that do not trend on social media, do not appear in mainstream travel magazines, and yet somehow manage to deliver experiences that stay with you for the rest of your life. The world is far larger and far more generous with its wonders than the popular travel circuit would have you believe. Every continent holds hidden corners where the landscapes are wilder, the food is more authentic, the people are warmer, and the sense of discovery is almost overwhelming. If your travel list still looks like everyone else's, it might be time for a serious upgrade. Suspended between Norway and Iceland in the North Atlantic Ocean, the Faroe Islands are an archipelago of 18 islands that look like they were painted by someone who had never been told to be realistic. Dramatic cliffs plunge into churning seas, waterfalls tumble directly into the ocean, and villages of grass-roofed houses cling to hillsides as if defying gravity. The islands receive only around 100,000 visitors per year, which is almost nothing compared to the tens of millions who flood into more popular European destinations. What makes the Faroe Islands particularly special is how untouched everything feels. Hiking trails wind through landscapes that seem entirely indifferent to human presence. The village of Saxun sits inside a tidal lagoon surrounded by mountains, and it looks so surreal that photographs of it are routinely mistaken for digital art. The local cuisine leans heavily on lamb and fermented fish, and while that might sound challenging, eating here is an act of genuine cultural immersion. The weather is notoriously unpredictable, shifting from sunshine to fog to rain within a single hour, but that unpredictability is part of the magic. The Faroe Islands reward patience and curiosity in equal measure. Most people who visit Italy follow the same well-worn path through Rome, Florence, and Venice. Matera, tucked away in the southern region of Basilicata, rarely makes that itinerary, and that is a genuine shame. Matera is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, with cave dwellings known as Sassi that date back over 9,000 years. Walking through Matera feels like moving through layers of human history where ancient stone churches are carved directly into cliffsides and narrow staircases connect neighborhoods that have existed since before recorded history. The city was once considered an embarrassment by the Italian government, a symbol of poverty and underdevelopment, but it has since been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and was even named a European Capital of Culture in 2019. Today, some of those ancient cave dwellings have been transformed into boutique hotels and restaurants, allowing visitors to sleep and dine inside spaces that humans have occupied for millennia. The golden light of late afternoon falling across the stone city creates a visual experience that is almost impossible to describe adequately. If you have ever wanted to feel like you have landed on another planet without actually leaving Earth, Socotra Island is your answer. Located in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Yemen, Socotra is home to plant and animal life so unique that nearly 37% of its plant species exist nowhere else on Earth. The most iconic of these is the dragonblood tree, with its umbrella-shaped canopy and deep red sap, which looks like something straight out of a science fiction novel. The island's isolation over millions of years created an evolutionary laboratory unlike anything else on the planet. Socotra's beaches are pristine and largely untouched, its mountains are shrouded in mist, and its people maintain a way of life that has changed very little over centuries. Accessing the island requires some logistical effort, and the political situation in Yemen means that travel requires careful planning and up-to-date research, but those who make the journey consistently describe it as one of the most extraordinary experiences of their lives. Socotra is not just a destination, it is a reminder that the natural world still holds genuine mysteries. Georgia, the country nestled at the crossroads of Eastern Europe and Western Asia, has been quietly building a reputation among adventurous travelers, but it still flies well under the radar for most people. Tbilisi, its capital city, is a place of extraordinary contrast where ancient sulfur bathhouses sit beside modernist glass bridges, where Orthodox churches overlook Persian-era fortresses, and where the food and wine culture is so deeply developed that it predates most of what the Western world considers culinary tradition. Georgian wine, made using an 8,000-year-old method of fermenting grapes in clay vessels called cuvivre, is unlike anything produced anywhere else in the world. The food is equally revelatory, with dishes like kinkali, which are large soup-filled dumplings, and khachapuri, a bread boat filled with molten cheese and egg, becoming instant obsessions for anyone who tries them. The old town of Tbilisi, with its wooden balconies overhanging narrow cobblestone streets, has a crumbling romantic beauty that feels completely authentic rather than preserved for tourist consumption. Georgia also offers some of the most dramatic mountain scenery in the entire Caucasus region, making it a destination that rewards both city explorers and outdoor adventurers. Southeast Asia has no shortage of beautiful destinations, but Luang Prabang in northern Laos occupies a category entirely its own. This small town, sitting at the confluence of the Mekong and Namkon rivers, moves at a pace that feels almost meditative. Every morning before sunrise, hundreds of saffron-robed monks walk silently through the streets collecting alms from local residents in a ceremony called Takbat that has continued uninterrupted for centuries. The town is filled with gilded temples, French colonial architecture, and night markets selling hand-woven textiles and local street food. The surrounding landscape includes the stunning Kwangsi waterfalls where turquoise water cascades over limestone formations into pools perfect for swimming. What makes Luang Prabang genuinely special is the way it has managed to preserve its cultural identity despite growing tourism. The town operates under strict preservation guidelines that prevent overdevelopment, keeping the atmosphere intimate and the experience genuine. Evenings here are spent watching the sun sink behind the mountains across the Mekong with a bowl of noodle soup in hand, and it is difficult to imagine a more quietly perfect way to exist in the world. Morocco has plenty of famous destinations, but Chefchaouen, the blue city nestled in the Rif Mountains, deserves far more attention than it typically receives outside of photography circles. Every wall, staircase, and doorway in the Medina is painted in varying shades of blue, from pale sky to deep cobalt, creating an environment that feels dreamlike at every turn. The city was originally settled in 1471 and has been a place of refuge and cultural mixing ever since. Beyond the obvious visual appeal, Chefchaouen offers a more relaxed and less overwhelming introduction to Moroccan culture than the larger imperial cities. The pace is slower, the vendors are less aggressive, and the mountain air carries a freshness that is genuinely restorative. Local restaurants serve tagines and couscous dishes made with produce from the surrounding mountains, and the quality of the food here consistently surprises visitors who were not expecting culinary excellence from such a small town. Hiking trails from the city lead up into the Rif Mountains, offering views across the blue rooftops and into the valleys below that are nothing short of spectacular. Choosing to travel to underrated destinations is not simply about avoiding crowds, although that is certainly a welcome benefit. It is about engaging with the world more honestly and more deeply. When you visit a place that has not been polished and packaged for mass consumption, you encounter it on its own terms. You are forced to be more present, more adaptable, and more genuinely curious. You eat where locals eat, navigate streets without the safety net of 1,000 online reviews, and have conversations that feel real rather than transactional. These experiences build a different kind of traveler, one who is less interested in collecting famous landmarks and more interested in understanding the extraordinary diversity of human experience. The destinations on this list are not obscure for lack of quality. They are underrated simply because the travel industry has not yet fully caught up with what they offer. That gap is your opportunity. The Faroe Islands, Matera, Socotra, Tbilisi, Luang Prabang, and Chefchaouen are all waiting, largely unhurried and entirely magnificent, for the travelers who are willing to look just slightly beyond the obvious. The world does not run out of wonder. It only runs out of people willing to seek it.